Well, according to YouTube, I am live, and I have to confess, it's a little strange because I've got a shotgun microphone I'm using for audio. So, unlike, well, for most of the last year, I've had a headset with a, headphones, microphone situation. And so, with the shotgun mic, there's no reason to actually have the headphones on unless I'm, need to listen to something. And I have to confess, it's very strange. I feel very strange sitting here talking into the microphone without the headset on, without headphones. I feel naked. Naked, I say. Well, I guess I will get spooled up with today's activities. And in today's live stream, I will talk a little bit about what's going on going into 2022. I'm pretty excited, actually, about the new year and some of the things I'll be doing. But I don't want to say too much when there's really nobody here to listen. But not altogether surprising, since being that it is Christmas Eve. Um, I'm sure many of the people who often come around here are going to be with their families or preparing for holiday festivities of various kinds. So, and I wish you all the very, very best in that regard. So, taking a sip of my martini. I am having one of my martinis. Mm, mm. That hits the spot. Well, when I live streamed a couple days ago, was it a couple days ago or was it yesterday? I was working on this shot, and this has been a fun process. It kind of hits the sweet spot as far as this sort of loosey goosey pencil test kind of thing. Uh, and I have to say, I'm actually thinking out loud here as I'm looking at it, how it really calls to mind certain things that I would like to get into in other live streams. I'm not going to really get into it tonight, but it's really interesting to look at. Like, there's no downside to learning how to draw. Hey, Smog. Hey, good to see you, man. Good to see you. Haven't even gone Christmas shopping. Moving slowly, I hope. Right? Moving slowly. I'm with you, man. We do. Our holidays are very, very lean around here. We don't do a lot of shopping, and um, and with, frankly, with Valerie's condition, it's really hard to plan much anyway. So, but I am looking forward to next week. My son will be coming in from New York, flying in from New York. Well, he's actually getting in tomorrow, but I expect he's going to be uh, spending more time with the other side of the family, meaning my ex-wife and her family, probably on Christmas and day after and whatnot. And then we'll be hanging out a good bit next week. So just haven't been anywhere. No, it's all good. I just love the quiet life. I'm gobsmacked every day when I think about it. I was just telling Valerie this. In fact, I think maybe this morning, it just blows my mind how the whole idea that you can get up in the morning and spend the day doing creative work. For me, that generally means either creating music or creating animation or writing. Those are pretty much the three biggies. And it's not like doing animation stuff really pays my bills or anything, but I think it will. I think it's going to. I think we're headed in that direction. And certainly all my work, my commercial work, for clients and whatnot, is also very creative. A lot of just web development and media work, whether it's voice stuff or whatever, advertising related stuff. But it is a wonderful thing to be able to just live a quiet life and just kind of do what you do. So anyway, I just hit the K key, but Tahoma didn't have the focus, so that was kind of a boo-boo. Okay, there we go. So anyway, as far as this scene goes, truth is it's done. But I wanted to show you guys. You guys weren't. I think I started the ink and paint the other day, and so let me just hit that, and then turn these guys off. Make sure that looks like that's going to render correctly. I don't know why we have this marker thing here. Let's strip that off. So this is what the shot wound up looking like. I need to get rid of that. That's the that was used as a color key. So there we go. So Asher says, he says, the poor and the hungry aren't going to feed themselves. So there we go. So that's cool. Also tried moving slow, playing games, place number 1 on the server. You know, I'll tell you. Let me give an example, actually, Smog, of one of the things I've done that's along those same lines. When I noticed this, it's been a long time ago now, probably within, let's say, 2 years, where I had noticed when I was journaling that, you know, I'm an okay typist. You know, I can type reasonably quickly. But it was really interesting how I found that when I typed to a tempo, and this kind of works in concert with this idea of moving slowly. When you move at a tempo, so I would go, okay, today I'm not going to try to type fast. I'm going to just type like this. It's going to be like type, 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 but it's to a tempo, right? And what I would find is within 30 seconds, I would be able to speed the tempo up and even a lot faster. And my typing, my accuracy, and my speed increase much more quickly by going slow. And of course, if you're training anyone to play a musical instrument, of course that's what you want to teach them. You know, youngsters that are learning to play guitar or whatever, they want to play fast. You know, they want to play the fast licks. But when you slow everything way down, basically with anything that involves physical coordination, the rule is you want to play the piece so slowly that you can't make a mistake. So that's absurdly slowly. If you're playing a piano, it'd be like hit a note, hit a note, hit a note. Well, why would you do that? Well, the reason you do that is because you're trying to train muscle memory, and your brain, the basic fact of the matter is that your body jumps ahead of your brain. And so the idea is to slow your activity down enough to the point where you are able to process it fully in your brain before you do it with your body, right? Oh, you took guitar. See, I never took lessons, although Kyle did. My son Kyle took lessons. You know, and if I would have known what, you know, when I started playing guitar, what I know now, I would have gotten a lot better, a lot faster. But I do remember someone saying to me way back, you know, 30 years ago, actually more than that, that it took him about 2 years to get basically competent on guitar and about 8 years to get like really good. And I would have to say that pretty well concurred for me. But that's pretty much true with anything within a musical instrument. It's true about a lot of things. It's actually true about a lot of things in life. I've talked about this before, about the kind of the 2 to 8 year plan. Things tend to have a 2 to 8 year cycle. Businesses, if a business, basically it's real common to find your stride in about 2 years, right? And then it grows, but what typically happens is by about the 8 year point, it usually turns out to be the case that it actually doesn't progress that much further than that. Hey, Darren, Good to see you, brother. I appreciate the tips today on Discord. Well, anyway, since there's a couple people here, I guess I'll talk a little bit about what I was going to talk about tonight. I didn't expect this to be a long live stream, um, but there are a few things on the agenda, and one of them has to do with my social connectivity. Um, I'm looking at your comment, Smug. You know, the truth of the matter is, if you work an instrument and then take a layoff every year, that probably shouldn't harm your progress very much. But I mean, it also depends on what you mean by good. You know what I mean? I mean, there's lots of people that play in lots of different ways, and at the end of the day, it's all good. You know, if the biggest thing with any musical instrument um, is timing, right? So you can hit a wrong note, you can even hit a wrong chord, and basically no one will notice. But if you're out of time, everyone notices. And that's yet another reason why the thing that we should focus on is actually just getting the timing right. And the best way to accomplish that is to play so slowly that you can't make a mistake. And then what happens is the speed just happens magically. It just comes to you. Focusing on accuracy is way more important, and it obviously speaks to the world of animation as well, because that's really what we're talking about when you're talking about drawing. You know, we tend to go fast because we want to see a positive result, and we want to feel the way we feel when we get a positive result, which is, it's gratifying. It's like, wow, I can do this. This is cool. The problem is you don't tend to improve much that way. And so that's kind of an interesting thing, because that means that by definition, real progress is usually a bit painful, because you're always operating just below the level that you know, kind of wish you were at. Keep playing while switching chords. At the very least, looks like you're doing it. Yeah, right. Some guys, you know, just move their hand and don't even play. Okay, so here's where we're at, guys, in terms of what's going on with me. The opening segment of the show is done. Now that I have this last shot done, and I've got, obviously I covered this a couple live streams ago, so I've got the musical score done. I'm feeling pretty good about the voices. There may be a couple minor changes, but basically it's ready to release. So as far as Salt and Light goes, the status of it, and basically that's what I'm doing tonight, is I'm talking about, you know, where are we at here at the end of the year, because all the holiday stuff is going to start tomorrow. Family stuff, blah, blah, blah. Where I'm at is that I'm ready to release the first 4 minutes of this show. I should say, I mean, the 4 minutes includes the intro, but I'm going to release this as a webisode. Basically a complete webisode with the soundtrack and everything, a complete, that will say to be continued, and probably there's going to be an ongoing rollout, I would expect. There's really no reason not to, but in conjunction with releasing, you know, getting it out there basically as a teaser. And so for me, there's a lot of things that are being coordinated right now. Like, I have set up a Patreon. I have a Patreon now. I did a crowdfund years ago for the last film I made. It didn't do that well, frankly. I mean, the movie's doing fine, but the crowdfund didn't do that well. It made about $2,000. It was not that great. But I did that on GoFundMe. And I have to say that in terms of just working with the platform, I much prefer GoFundMe to Indiegogo. At the end of the day, why would you go to Indiegogo as opposed to GoFundMe? Even though, I mean, obviously people have a perception of GoFundMe as being more like, you know, I'm raising money for my sick, you know, person for his cancer treatments or whatever. You know, they've moved in that direction. But basically, these platforms are all the same. And from what I can see with Patreon, they're literally all the same, where they all basically take 5%, maybe 8, maybe 12, depending on the level that you do it at, plus credit card processing fees. So you can look at a crowdfund or a Patreon or any of that as, I'm going to give up 10 to 15% of whatever's given to me just by being able to use that platform. So that speaks back to the question of, well, do you do Kickstarter, Indiegogo, whatever? For me, the question would always be this. does the platform itself act as a marketing tool in the sense that there's a dramatically greater likelihood that people will find my crowdfund if it's on this platform or that platform. My sense with all the research I've done is that's really pretty much there is no such advantage. Because, and that's why Indiegogo will tell you once you launch, hey, no problem, Smog, that's all good. Once you launch a crowdfund, you are, and by the way, I guess I'll switch back to here because I'm going to load up a scene, and I'm actually going to get a little work done on another scene that happens later in the show, where I realized that I had Monkey in the scene as a pencil test, which is probably not good. So, let me load that up while I'm thinking about it right here. This shot. This can be saved. That's fine. So my sense with all crowdfunding platforms is that they strongly encourage you, probably for good reason, that once you launch a crowdfund, you really need to be in a marketing mode for at least 60 days. Well, that makes sense. And the reason for that is because they're not going to do it for you, obviously. So my general paradigm about crowdfunding has been that if we're going to go down that road, it's going to have to be something that's kind of open-ended. So, not like a Kickstarter, because I'm not going to like change my whole life around to focus on promoting the fact that I'm trying to raise money. Okay? That's what I'm not going to do. So for me, it's just basically fine to do GoFundMe, because I actually already have people that gave to the campaign 5 years ago that might be interested in contributing to Salt and Light. And in the meantime, I've also, as I say, set up a Patreon so that in future YouTube videos, I would expect to be providing a set of links so that if people want to support the ongoing development, they have the ability to do so. So that's good. Well, the other thing that's cool is I actually set up my Discord server today. So again, Darren, I don't know if you're still here, but thank you for your help, your tips, regarding Discord. I still have a lot I need to learn about it, but I do like the fact that Discord is really a very comprehensive platform for connecting to a community. So going forward, what does my community life really look like? I don't know. I do know this, though. I know that I like live streaming. I like you guys. I like talking to you guys. I like doing the animation Truman show. I do like providing more useful curated content, which I expect I'll probably be doing more of, which basically means, like tonight with this particular shot, I was thinking it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to make this level right here into a sub-X sheet, because a topic that occurred to me was, how do you, in Opentoonz or Tahoma, do what you can do so quickly and easily in Krita involving blending modes and stuff like that? And basically for me, the answer is a Subscene that uses blending modes through the schematic to get greater control over the look of your imagery. I mentioned this the other night in the live stream, is there really is nothing you can do in Krita, for example, that you can't also do in Tahoma. But it's clunkier in Tahoma. But it is there, and maybe some people want to know how to do it. So I think right now, if you search Discord for Blended Planet, you're going to find my channel, and there's just general discussion at this point. So, but I kind of have made that command decision that I do want to engage a little more actively with my tribe, with you guys. Generally, if somebody, and this has happened on Discord actually specifically, usually vis-a-vis Darren's channel, because that's where everybody hangs out, is that if someone engages with me with a specific technical or creative question, I'm always willing to help, always willing to answer questions. I like helping people, blah, blah, blah. I don't want it to, become my primary focus, because that can really chew up a lot of time. But I definitely want to be engaging a little more actively with my community. And I am interested in what you guys are doing and what you want to do. Darren, you talked a little bit I think in your poll you talked a little bit about collaborative projects, and that's really what I actually what I was starting to float. I mean, you were working today, so you weren't able to talk, but basically what I was floating was the idea of, you know, there might be a place to begin to really start to stir the pot on that Futurama thing this next year. I think one of the when I was off YouTube for 2 months, you know, just and until a week ago, one of the things I was struggling with was getting back in the saddle musically. Okay, I needed to rediscover the not so much technique, but just the mindset. I hadn't scored a film in 5 years, and it's pathetic that after all these years, it's still a little bit intimidating. But it was kind of hard to find my way in terms of, you know, what am I trying to do here, uh, thematically, texturally, blah blah blah. And so I spent a little time with that. There were some other things going on too, obviously, like with my mom and blah blah blah, that took time. But basically, as far as creatively, the main reason I kind of went silent was I was really, really focused on the musical side of things. Some of that's just technical. It's just, you know, you sort of got to get your templates set up, reacquaint yourself with the orchestra, yada, yada, yada. Um, but I did it. I got through it. I found my way. And it's kind of like, I'm trying to think of what it's like. It's like when you remember, you know, something that you used to do that you were doing that you did pretty well, maybe, you know, or whatever, and you just sort of get away from it for a while, and you just have to rediscover it, you know. And so, but I did it. I did that, and I'm extremely comfortable now with moving forward with all the three key skills that come to bear on what I do here, which is writing, animating, and music. You know, audio, sound effects, voices, those things are all pretty easy for me to do and deal with. They're not difficult. But it's like I was saying to Smog here at the start, is what an amazing thing, you know, to spend your days doing those three things. You know, and that really is truly, truly, truly what I want to do. But I also like this. I like engaging with you guys. And so anyway, I set up a Discord server. So it's Discord server Blended Planet. And if anybody like has a question or whatever, I want to open that up. If there's specific things people want to learn that I haven't necessarily shown very well, you know, just let me know. Hey Maria, just let me know. And if I can help, I will. And usually that means anything with basically Opentoonz or Krita, and to a large extent, but to a lesser degree, Blender, as far as the animation stuff goes. Music, the creative process in general. You know, how do you write a screenplay? How do you deal with conflict? How do you deal with when you've written yourself into a corner and you don't know how to solve a story problem? You know, there's all kinds of things that people who want to create stuff bump into. And the fact of the matter is that there's a lot of things in that arena that I've done a lot of, and I know how to do. And if I can help someone, I want to help someone, but I don't want to just be sort of blowing in the wind about stuff that nobody really cares about. You know, it's always a danger, actually, here. You know, I've joked, sort of joked, half joking, many times about, I've thought, you know, why the heck would anyone ever even come here and be interested in what I'm doing, you know? And I don't really have a great answer to that question. But I will say that I have a suspicion. Um, it, Put it this way, I probably should be podcasting in addition to, um, you know, live streaming here or whatever. But um, oh, there's so many things I'd like to. I mean, there's talented, creative people that I would love to have on here to interview, uh, and just talk about their journey and what they're doing. And I mean, that aspect of the creative life is definitely very interesting to me. And I find people of all stripes, all religions, all political beliefs, all points of view to be interesting and worthy of, their point of view is worthy. It just is. Just because, people are worthy. you know? I really feel that way. So, anyway, so that's the news. The news is number one, I've got a Discord set up. Look for Blended Planet on Discord. All there is general chat. I don't know. This is how ignorant I am with Discord. I don't even know if you have to friend me in order to participate and or like post a question or something. I have no idea. I think maybe, but so I'm learning. I got the server set up and there are no channels. There's just the general discussion. So if anyone wants to, so the point is this, if you want to connect with me directly, as opposed to, through comments on a YouTube video, then that would be a good way to do it. Because that's going to be a thing. It already exists. I've got it set up. And I'll show you. So there it is. There it is. Welcome to Blended Planet. General discussion. So, as you can see, I'm not very active on Discord. There's Tahoma, there's Darren, there's Traditional Animation, and there's Motion Miracles. By the way, I like these guys. They I don't know if they're from India or Pakistan. Okay. Get a link for it from the server. Can you clarify that? Get a link for it from the server. Oh, in other words, you're saying share the link to the server, which of course I could do here. I think most of the people here are sufficiently familiar with Discord. I'm guessing that they probably, if you just search Blended Planet, you're gonna find me. But so okay, well, since you're here, Darren, maybe you can answer this. If somebody goes to this, somebody goes here, and then they go to the general. Voice connected. I don't want to be voice connected here right now. Is my audio still working? Send the link here. Okay. Okay. The problem right now, Maria, is you might be asking me to do something I literally, as stupid as it is, don't know how to do yet. Okay. I just set up the channel today. So if you're on Discord, do me a solid and just look for Blended Planet. Because I am so inept at the moment. You can right click from the channel, one of your rooms. Audio is working. Okay, yeah, because it looks to me, if you see this on the screen, you see how that keeps going green? So that means right now the audio is actually looping through to Discord. The thing is, Discord looks like it's got some really amazing tools in terms of integrating it with your YouTube channel, integrating it with Patreon. So, to sort of finish the sentence I started a little bit ago, which I often do is don't finish sentences, is that a Discord server, a Patreon, and a GoFundMe campaign, basically the Patreon and the GoFundMe campaign are ready to pull the trigger. So my steps are the following. I need to take the soundtrack that I covered 2 nights ago, and I'm going to go ahead and bake the soundtrack into this timeline. Okay? That's step 1. Step 2 is this sequence that goes from here to, and I really need to change this to, let's do time and frames. Okay, so this sequence is going to get released. Released for free of charge on YouTube. So I was wrong. I misspoke earlier. I said it was a 4-minute segment including the intro, but that's not true. So the intro is a minute. And I probably need to create an abbreviated version of it. But I'm going to be releasing the first 4 minutes of Salt and Light. And I'm doing that essentially as a teaser. And then the video for that will be integrated into the GoFundMe campaign and the Patreon channel. Okay. So we'll get Salt and Light webisode 1 released. And then when that happens, which I would expect to happen very shortly, then the links to all the stuff that I don't typically, well, like, okay, let me rewind a little bit. When I do a YouTube video, I have not had a big list of links attached to the description, for example. Okay, well, that's going to change. I'm going to be having a standard description that includes all the ways that people can connect with me. And that may include more than just Discord and Patreon, too. It might include, I don't know, Pinterest. I don't really do Instagram, frankly. Just never have gone there. I'm basically on Facebook, LinkedIn, which I hardly ever visit to, it hasn't been that integral to my business life. And pretty much those, and Twitter. So usually if I post something really useful or what I think is important here, then I'll typically echo it on Twitter. So if you think in terms of where I'm active, it would basically be, it's going to wind up being Discord, though. I already can tell, because it's such a well integrated platform where, I could actually have a verbal chat with somebody, things like that, which to me, it's like, that's cool. We can talk. And frankly, perhaps somewhat non-intuitively in this digital age, that's a really much more appealing thing to me. Like, Darren, the reason I asked you today if you were available is because a lot of times when people have specific questions that you're trying to fix or solve, or whatever it is, the text-based chat thing really oftentimes not only doesn't work that well, but it's also extremely time consuming. I literally would rather just do a phone call and cover it. That's just how I roll. I'd rather do the impromptu thing and connect with people in a more organic way than type. Okay, so anyway, that's it. That's the news. Discord, Patreon, GoFundMe, releasing Salt and Light Webisode 1. Other than that, I'm just chugging, man. I'm just going forward. I'm rocking and rolling. And now that I'm back in the saddle again, I feel way more comfortable about the pace of the work going forward, too. I'm in a good place where I can focus on this stuff. In a fairly undistracted manner. I say that with a qualification because the honest truth is business is kind of booming. Going into 2022, I actually expect I'm going to be doing quite a bit of website development and stuff for commercial clients and things like that. So it does, to a degree, boil down to kind of what's paying the bills kind of thing. And so if on the funding side of things, it really, the truth is, if things start grabbing on the funding side of things, then I'm going to allocate more time to this. Okay? So that is the mindset, or that's the pitch. The pitch on Salt and Light in terms of crowdfunding, Patreon too, is the more I can monetize it, the more I can literally make it a full-time job. As opposed to what I'm doing here, which is I haven't done anything on this stuff today until I live streamed. That's typical. That's normal. I typically give it about an hour or two per day on average. And I would like to really be able to justify turning this into a full-time job so that I can reliably crank out an episode every 3 or 4 months. And I'm telling you, I'm really, really sure that's doable. I'm very, very confident that that is doable. So, haven't really been able to justify making it a full-time thing. Although I have had periods, as you guys may know. There have been periods where I've live streamed for 5 hours, but it's been very few and far between. For the most part, this is something that I do for a couple hours a day, and then I have clients to take care of, and yada, 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 yada. I'd like to really move this towards, if it were up to me, by the time we hit summer of 2022, I will be able to say that I can seriously justify saying this really is my full-time job. And for me, that's a transition that is doable. But yeah, there it is. We gotta kind of build it out a little bit. So it's often best to share your screen on Discord and explain the issue. Yeah, and that's something I want to learn. I mean, I think it's so cool that you can do the screen sharing. We can do an audio conversation or video. People can leave a note, and connect with me quite directly. So certainly for this YouTube audience, absolutely. If you want to get a hold of me, starting now, like literally starting today, go to Discord Blended Planet and connect with me. If it becomes if there's an overwhelming flood of stuff that I can't respond to, then I'll let you know that I can't respond to it, basically. But I just don't really see that happening. So, but my sense right now is if I'm going to engage with people directly, Discord's probably the best. When you say test, you're talking about like the audio call and stuff. That'd be great, man. I will tell you, and actually, if I do it on my laptop, I could even probably do a video call. Now, for some stupid reason, the webcams have quit working, and I literally have no idea why. I have suspicions that have to do with the way that Windows 8.1, which I'm still in Windows 8.1, allocates USB ports. Sounds crazy, sounds insane. Yeah, screen share and audio chat. Okay, cool. Forgive me, guys. I'm chewing my olive from my martini. But talked a couple nights ago. Sorry, the olive's almost gone. About my Kundalini awakening. I don't know if I had a Kundalini awakening, but part of that is just recognizing that I really do. I like, I'm more of a people person than I thought I was. Let's put it that way. Yeah, 8.1. Yep, I'm doing 8.1. This machine and this machine was set up 8 years ago. I think this machine is 8.1. What's making you think it's standard 8, Sifter? Pretty sure this one's 8.1. Do I really want to go there right now? Let me check something. I'm going to check something on the other screen. Computer properties. Oh, this is 8.0. Okay. Good eye. I don't know how you knew that, but the machine in the studio is running 8.1. Lack of a start button. Yes. Right. Okay. There you go. Well, anyway, I had this machine built 8 years ago when I was doing the film Clerical Errors, which, by the way, is going to be out soon. It kind of sat on the shelf for a while, and the distribution is now set up. And that's actually one of the things I was doing last week before I started live streaming again. Was I had a bunch of corrections, just really minor. When you turn the assets for a feature film over to a distributor, they have a very rigorous quality control check process where they go through the movie almost, I swear, frame by frame to find anything that's wrong in the movie. And there were a few things wrong. There was a couple shots or scenes where there was one renegade frame from a different shot that had snuck into the video. And, it's just going through, and there was about a dozen things I needed to go through in the audio mostly, but also in the video, and just clean up and basically render patches to little pieces of the movie. Um, and happily, I got the email from Aaron a couple days ago saying, yeah, everything worked perfectly. The movie's great. Everything's ready to go. So actually, my film Clerical Errors will be available everywhere before too long. I don't know how long it'll take them to actually get it out there, but so as I always say, I mean it'll be on the Encourage TV YouTube channel. It'll be on Tubi. It's an interesting movie um, because it's a quirky little film that doesn't quite know if it's a comedy or an action movie, and frankly, it's the reason why distributors kind of had a hard time with it. They just didn't know what category to place it in, right? But I tell you, it's a movie that if you sit through the darn thing, I've never had anyone disappointed. It's what I call a sleeper. It's like a movie that you're like, oh, I'm not so sure, let's see. And then people tend to like be glad they watched it. Like that was a kind of uplifting, kind of funny, you know, not a total waste of an hour and a half. You know what I mean? So, Clerical Errors. The story is there's a gangster whose name is Vinny, who, or he's a bank robber, but he's a bit of an idiot, frankly, and kind of a doofus, and he stumbles into a situation where he's hiding out. He just ducks into a building, to evade the cops, and he happened to duck into a church, and then the people at the church discover him in there, and just through a farcical series of events, they think he's the new pastor that they've been sort of waiting to arrive. It turns out that this bank robber winds up being the best pastor they ever had. They love him, so it's funny. I mean, the premise is funny, and there's a lot of funny stuff in the movie. So hopefully it'll do okay out there in the marketplace, So with that, I think I shall continue with my work. Which, by the way, is that, what do we got here? We've got a pencil test of monkey. So I'm guessing this is monkey here? Yep, there's monkey. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit insert. And then let's do some, I'm just going to jump to, maybe I'll tighten up this drawing. But basically, I need to draw a monkey and then give him ink and paint and animate his tail. That's basically all there is to it. So, pretty straightforward. What do we got here? Is this the charcoal brush? I don't know what it is. Let's grab the charcoal brush. It's what it looks like. Okay, so Maria talked about upgrading to Windows 11. Yeah, I mean, we've got the little 8-core machine over there. The reason I had this machine built is because it's a 12-core machine. So it's a pretty hot machine. So even now, 8 years later, it's still a pretty good performing machine. But when we were doing an experimental, we were mining a cryptocurrency. This is about, now it's probably been 4 years ago now. But the 8-core machine that's Gen 8, this machine's Gen 7. The 12-core is Gen 7. The 8-core machine was faster, mining crypto. So we didn't make any money mining crypto, by the way, in case you're wondering. It was an obscure forked cryptocurrency that a friend of mine had launched, and just to help him out and sort of test the system, we did some mining of this cryptocurrency. So that turned out to be kind of nothing, really. I'm not liking that much. I'm going to go to the regular pencil. Okay, so now we're back to, what the heck? Something's wrong here. Oh, there it is. Okay, there we go. So, monkey's pretty small on the screen. So, I'm going to go ahead and solo this layer. What the heck? So I can see what I'm doing. B key. Later, Darren. Oh, I didn't see you. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. After 1 a.m. for you. Okay, sorry, bro. Nighty night. Thanks for hanging out, man. I appreciate it. We'll maybe catch up tomorrow on Discord. And happy Christmas Eve, definitely. Yeah, I'm surprised anyone's out tonight, being that it's Christmas Eve. But yeah, I appreciate you guys being here. So, well, if anyone, if anyone wants to weigh in with an opinion, what actually got me thinking about Discord and sort of spun me off in that direction today was I was looking at Darren's poll, and I found it interesting that it looked like, for the most part, what the people responding to Darren's poll for 2022, the two things that seemed to emerge as the things that people liked or were interested in the most were short, tight, like a 3 to 6 minute tutorial kind of thing, or kind of what I'm doing here, larger projects where you're sort of looking over the guy's shoulder and just seeing him do the work. And if people want that tutorial thing, I'm not opposed to doing the. I mean, there's plenty of them on my channel. Obviously, I've done them various times. But the thing I'm always looking for is specifics, right? I'm always like, when I ask you guys what do you guys do? Are you working on I'm working on a show, I'm working on a series of 24-minute animated series. That's what I'm doing. I always wonder, what are you guys doing? And also kind of related to that, and maybe more interestingly, would be, what do you really want to be doing? Right? Because this gets into what we talked about the other night, is oftentimes people, I'm going to do a short film. Right? This is in the filmmaking space, this is what you hear all the time. I'm going to do a short film, and it's going to, I'm kind of hoping it'll be my calling card that'll get me an opportunity to make a feature film. That's what naive, frankly, fledgling filmmakers usually do. And the reason they do that is because deep down inside, they don't believe that they can make a feature film. Well, as somebody who's made 8 feature films, I can tell you, yeah, you can make a feature film. In fact, I've literally, I think I've ever only heard of one person ever who did a short film, quote unquote, as a calling card, and then got some attention via, film festivals or whatever, and that actually turned into a thing for them. That's like the worst possible way to try to develop a filmmaking career, as far as I can tell. And the reason is because nobody in the real world uses short films for much of anything other than Pixar. In the animation space, it's a bit of a thing, actually, because the Blender Foundation and Pixar are pretty much the two big examples of it. And Blue Sky started this way, to be fair. Blue Sky Studios, this is how they began, was by doing a short film that kind of caught some attention. But, in the real media space, short films aren't that useful. Now, that may be changing to a degree because if I was going to advise a young person today, I would not tell them to make a feature film. I would tell them that's actually no longer what you want to do. But that's only because what people actually do is binge watch, Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever it is their favorite platform is. That's actually one of the reasons why I'm making this cartoon, as opposed to making some sort of, movie, film, 90-minute. I'm not doing 90-minute. In fact, I don't know if I ever will again. I mean, to a degree, I feel like I've got... Okay, let's put it this way. I'll probably do live action again. Okay? I expect I probably will do live action. I got some more live action in me. Okay? But, and by the way, I'm going to just erase Monkey's face and redo it. I'm not happy with it. I drew this a long time ago, and I don't even like what I'm seeing. So I'm sure I'll do live action, but I'm almost also equally as sure that it will not be a movie. The way going forward is to create serial content. And so maybe things have flipped in the sense that short form content actually makes more sense today in terms of getting our career going. Mainly because, like I said, people are binge watching shows. People are watching shows. They're not watching movies. Of course, some people watch movies, but basically, it's kind of not a thing anymore. Okay, so we've got this really, really ancient stuff that was redone. Okay, I'm going to ink monkey really quick and then jump over to the background, because this shot has a horrible background, and I would like to touch it up a bit, let's say. So I'm going to kill the background. This I'm going to just get rid of. I need to do a judicious cleaning up here and just getting rid of stuff that's not. This gradient, let me look at this. I don't think this gradient's really helping either. Okay, I muted the background, so let's see. Is this gradient actually... Yeah, this is pointless too. Let's get rid of that. Okay, this is just a silhouette in the floor. Okay, so now we've cleaned up the scene quite a bit. That's good. Alright, let's save that. File, save. Okay, so we'll get monkey inked, and then we'll deal with possibly looking at touching up the background as a sub-scene, where we could be using blending modes and whatnot. Okay, so Sifter, I personally don't care all about okay, can't talk. I personally don't care about calling card stuff. I'm making my series because nobody else will do it for me. Good for you, man. If it works, it works. No, don't you worry, man. It'll work. If I absolutely believe this, and I think that my experience in the film world has taught me this too. If it's good, and all that means is if it's entertaining, it could be entertaining for a lot of different reasons, right? So that has nothing to do with anybody's perception of what constitutes quality or anything like that. Because too many people have proven over the years that anything can work, and nobody's good at predicting what will work. So you just do what you're doing, man, because if it's entertaining, it will find its audience. I'm very, very confident telling you that. Okay, what's with the smoothing there, folks? It'll find its audience. Okay, this is a little bit creepy. This is a little bit creepy, folks. Oh, I see why. I'm sorry, my bad. I had it in, what do we call this? Preview mode? Yeah. Preview mode. I had it in preview mode. That's why the delay on the screen. I was being a bit of a silly goose. Sifter, is there any stuff on your YouTube channel that kind of shows what you're doing or what you're about? I may have looked at it in the past, but I'm just curious, because if there is, I'd like to take a quick look at what you're doing. So let me know, man, if there's any little teasers up there. I'm going to do a search on YouTube for Sifter. Every once in a while I do this to you guys. I lurk on your web or your YouTube channel. I wish that YouTube would let you search by username, but it does not appear to be the case. There you are. Found you. Production is not what's after pre-production. So Void 2, would that be... You can't... See, this is another one of those things I probably need to address. Right now, people don't have the ability to share links. Forget about my channel. My work has evolved since. Where do I see what you're doing, man? I mean, tying loose ends was a year ago, so just because just because I'm curious, I'm going to look at what you were doing back then. See, this is where the Discord thing, and okay, Sifter, are you interested in my feedback? If you're not, I'll keep to myself. But I'm looking at, and the reason I push the point, even though what I'm looking at is your YouTube channel, is that a lot of times people's earlier work, the truth of the matter is that people's talent is usually obvious from their earliest work, actually, especially if you know what you're looking at. Okay. You are going to be very successful, Sifter. I'm telling you right now. I'm looking at what I'm looking at, and I've got 10 years of making feature films behind me. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and bring this down on the other screen, okay? So I'm looking at this video that Sifter did quite a long time ago. All right? So we'll just go full screen. Okay? Absolutely outstanding. Dude, you're in good shape. You know, I don't know what your areas you feel you need to improve are, because I'm not listening to the audio. Let me actually see. I'm putting on the headphones. Okay, and I like the way you subtitled it, so it's kind of anime style. Oh man, dude, absolutely. Excellent. I'm going to go ahead and let the audio come back up. So I'm not thinking about the story, just to be accurate here. I'm going to go ahead and take a minute with this. Okay, so your sense of, okay, so I assume that's like a memory or a flashback. There's kind of a, yeah, okay. So there's things about how you communicated that you can probably touch up a bit. But basically, what you got going for you here is, number one, in terms of visual storytelling, you know, changing angles, like right there, going to the shot of the legs, excellent. So your intuitive sense of visual storytelling is great. Okay? That is great. So because I'm thinking about this technically right now, I'm not thinking about what I feel about the story you're telling. Okay? So we'll leave that for another day, right? Kind of thing. Especially people that are doing, I'm going to turn the audio down because I'm guessing it's probably pretty hot. But people who are doing animation oftentimes are not, you know, they're not thinking in terms of a full-length script, right? Right? They're just usually trying to capture an emotion and a moment, really. So, but you've done a good job of that here. The effects are good. Absolutely. The as I say, visual storytelling, your sense of editing and storytelling is really, really good. So you're in good shape, dude. Yeah. Yeah, no link appears. You can't post a link, unfortunately. And I'm not going to go and figure out right now on YouTube how to make it so you can. But well, like I said, I mean, here's something you did a year ago. And yet you're so I'm sure your skills are developing every day, right? Just like mine are. But your talent is obvious. Absolutely. Very obvious. You got. How old are you, Sifter? What's your age? Just put it out there, buddy. Tell me how old you are. Always find that kind of interesting. Yeah, yeah, you can't. It's YouTube prevents it. You're 25. Okay, so you're young guy. You're the age I was when I started my business. when I when I went into business for myself in May of 1991. May of 1991. I was 24 years old. And yeah. Yeah, that is it'll be interesting to see how it unfolds for you. The challenge that a lot of people have, like most people aren't like me in the sense that they literally can do it all. Okay, and I'm not saying that to brag. It's I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse sometimes, truthfully, because um and I won't expound on that too much at the moment, but the point is that most people, if your goal is to tell stories, and maybe particularly for a guy who's 24, um, let me ask you this: the story, what we just watched here, okay, is this your story? This is something you came up with, right? I'm guessing it is. As opposed to some story a friend came up with that you animated for him, right? This is your thing. Is that right? I can email you stuff if you want, but I can't find it in your website. Um, Hang on a second. That seems a bit strange to me. Yeah, I guess it's true. I didn't post my but you know what you can do? The phone number that is on my website, you can send a text to that number actually. So so people, please don't flood me with junk texts or anything. Not talking to you, Sifter. I'm talking to whatever evil cretins are out there that would ever do such a thing. But yeah, you can text me the link. Just text me the link to that number. That's basically my business line. So no biggie. So you're saying kind of, and I think you're referring to if it's your story. Well, anyway, the gist of where I was going with that is this. When you're a creative person, it's like you got a story you want to tell, right? And it kind of depends on your level of ambition, because some people want to create an entire world. They want to create a transmedia universe. Nothing wrong with that. It's a great thing. Oh, you're not from the U.S. Okay, sorry, dude. Um, put a. Well, actually, let me do this. Premier Media Design at gmail.com. There you go. Premier Media Design. So you can send me an email. Okie dokie. But no, I'm extremely bullish on Sifter's future in and I won't even say as an animator, although the animation I saw was fine. No problem with the animation. But as a storyteller, I can tell Sifter has a really good sense of storytelling. It'll obviously improve. I mean, there's always room for improvement. But the basic bones of the ability, you know, are clearly there. So that's great. Yep, yep. Where are you at, Sifter? I can't remember. I think you told us before, probably, but what country are you? You're not the Finland guy, are you? Because if you are, it's like 2 a.m. for you, too, man. Okay, I need a couple monkey colors. So I'm just gonna smack a couple colors up here, even though this isn't the right color. Oh, you're in Morocco. My next door neighbor's from Morocco. That is hilarious. That is crazy. Yeah, my next door neighbor is from Morocco. Same time zone. Okay, yeah, so it's pretty late there. Yep. Dino is from Morocco. I've heard, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I've heard that Morocco is actually known for, in terms of international commerce, for money laundering. Is that true? Is that true? I don't know if that's true. But yeah, my next door neighbor's from Morocco. Now his wife isn't. His wife is American. But that's kind of cool to, encounter another Morocco person. Do. Undo that. Let's go normal. If it's true, then I've learned something new. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's coming from Valerie, and I don't know how she either knows that or discovered that or whatever. I have no clue. So I'm gonna go over here. I need to find a picture of monkey so I can. That's the shot I'm actually working on right now. So there's somewhere up here, there's gonna be a picture of. Well, wait. There's Luca. Oh, come on. There's got to be a monkey picture here somewhere. Oh, wait. There we go. There's this sequence where Mel was being tormented by the monkey. There's monkey. Oh, boy. Okay, that's old. That's, oh my gosh. Kind of funny, though. I haven't made it to Morocco from Spain, but my brother has, and he loves it. Check if you received the email. Yeah, I'll check it right now, man. I'll check it right now. Yep. No, wait. No. No, YouTube. That's just saying I went live. So I haven't gotten it yet. I have not gotten it yet. Yeah, again, premiermediadesign@gmail.com. I probably should set up another Gmail for Blended Planet, but the problem is Google makes everything a little bit clunky with the way they work accounts and whatnot. Okay. Anyway, I know what I'm trying to do here. I need to make this less saturated. There we go. That's looking more like monkey. And basically this color is about right. So now, having done that, I made a mistake though. I'm sitting here blabbing and I made a mistake. The mistake is, and Sifter, I'll check the email here again and I'm just going to wait a few minutes to check it again. Okay, why, you might be wondering, is did you make the monkey smiling like that? Because he's really not supposed to be smiling. That actually kind of works. I guess I can just leave it at that. Now, this, I'm using the V key, the so-called paintbrush. What does Tahoma call it? It's not the brush, it's the Smart Raster Paint Tool. Right. Okay. Anyway, I think you'll be with Darren tomorrow on Discord. Let's wait for your screen share session. It's gonna be on a server. All right, we'll see if that works out. Probably will. But yeah, I'd like to see what you're doing. What's your hub? Are you like an Instagram person, or where do you hang out? Or I guess I could actually look at the Discord and see. Have you posted stuff on Discord? Or do you have a right? Like, do you have a Discord server? Anyway, it's all good. It's all good, brother. Okay, so what I'm going to do is smack that down there, and then I need to insert another column there. And then this one needs to be, let's just hit the B key and make a line so that we can then steal these colors. Steal them shamelessly. Wait, I just need these two. Control C, Control V. Oh, there's Twitter. Yeah, Ellis Mail Daraji. Okay. Right on, man. Let me looky. Yeah, and I don't do Twitter a lot. The only thing I do on Twitter is pretty much when I post something here that I think's important, then I'll tweet it. But I mean, I've got like 7 followers or something on Twitter. You know, I like nothing. So I'm gonna search Twitter. There you are. Oh, okay. Okay. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So there you are. And there. I just followed you. There you go, brother. I followed you. That is so cool. Oh, I just feel so connected. I feel so connected today. Cool, man. Grand Casablanca, Morocco. That is so cool. I love the way we can just, like, connect with people halfway across the world. I just think that's the coolest thing. I guess my generation still finds that to be kind of amazing. Because we're so old. We're just so freaking old. Okay, so now I'm going to actually put this in front so I can see what I'm doing. Close that shape. Erase that. Fill this here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, just because it's easier, I'm going to go ahead and do plastic tool on the tail. But I need to back up here and see what's going on animation-wise. This is not the best shot I've ever done, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. I've had better days in terms of my career as an animator. But we're going to do what we can to try to improve things. So let's just go ahead and give this guy a tail that wags. And we'll find a way to make it work. Well, like this is what I've been doing. I've been kind of going through and finding things in the show that I think need improvement. You know, some of them are kind of simplistic or whatever, but they're entertaining. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's okay. But then there's some things that are just kind of stiff and not quite really working. Frankly, this animation of Luca is, again, not one of my more shining moments. But let's do this. Let's put in a little wag. Okay, let's go up here. Okay, fine. Okay, so if something like this, I would generally advise someone to, like, I'm messing with this one bone that rotates it. I would actually try to imagine what the secondary animation is going to be and just stick with animating this one bone at first. Because it can turn into a real hot mess in a hurry. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I think I'll use this one to have Okay. Oh, that's a little disappointing. Okay, so the hotkeys for switching between cell drawings, which is the comma and the period, or the minus and less than, greater than, does not work with plastic tool keys. I kind of had forgotten that. So I'm going to let that be a bit of a secondary move there. And then here, let me see. So I'm mousing over number 5. This is what I mean by a hot mess. This can actually get to be kind of tricky. Okay, so there it would follow behind even more. This is probably going to do that. Probably a little whip in the tail, or the end of the tail. Okay, right there. Again, I'm not gonna promise this is gonna be the greatest example of kinematics you've ever seen, folks. Okay, so just, you've been warned. Not bad. Not bad. Okay, this deformation ain't working. Let's go back to build skeleton and move that down there a little bit like that. In fact, you know what? I think I'm gonna actually take this one out. Seems like we got one node too many here, folks. Okay, let's see what that feels like. Okay, so maybe there might be a little bit more. Let's see. If that's going like that, this would really be... See, this is going to pinch. I'm sure of it. Oh, maybe not. I guess we're okay. Okay, cool. So I'm going to let that lag behind a little bit. So I'm trying to give it some dynamics, right? Okay. That was a little tricky, but I think I got it. Let me see. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work. Okay, so this really needs to be behind here. Like that. And probably we should keep those two together. Why is it still showing in front? Okay, that's a little creepy. Oh, duh. Because it's in front. That's funny. Wow. Like that was like a major stupid attack right there. Okay. Man, I've been streaming for an hour and a half. Well, I guess this is one of those examples of just doing the work. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control Shift down arrow and actually turn this image into a subscene. So now I'm in the subscene. Okay? If anyone doesn't understand what I just did, post a question. I'll be happy to explain it. Otherwise, I'm going to assume you do know what I just did. And all I did was took a single level, turned it into a subscene, and then entered the subscene. So that's a scene that's nested inside of the next level up scene. This is the top level scene. This is the background. And the reason I did that is so I can begin to add additional layers and try to punch up this background a bit. Because it's pretty simplistic. And arguably... Well, there's a lot of things you could say about it. Okay, so this was painted with... Okay, so this is a raster level. Check one more thing here real quick. Okay, so the silhouette's in front of it, but just for completeness, I guess I'm going to go ahead and see what brush this is. I need like a big bombastic brush. Okay, that's going to be this color. R key. So if you want to sample a color, use the R key. If you didn't know that, now you do. Okay. Okay, so I can also do a fill. You can do fills on raster levels. In case you didn't know that, you probably did, but now I'm going to hit the R key again and just kind of deal with that. Okay. So now, gosh, I tell you, I think what I want to do here is just, let me think about this for half a sec. What did I say yesterday was my hotkey for this? Okay, I've got the hotkey of Shift Alt R set up for resetting a rotation. I don't know if that's a native hotkey or if that's one I created, months ago. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to use a vector level because I want to just draw shapes. I want to really keep this simple. Okay. So I'm going to just extend this down. This is a static drawing. And probably, let's just add another color. I'm going to hit the R key. And then so I'm sampling the color behind it. But then I'm going to make it just, well, actually I'm not going to. I was going to make it just a little bit lighter, but actually I'm going to do it a different way. Because this is a more useful technique if you're looking for techniques, which is to just make it white, but then turn the alpha down. I'm just going to take a guess here to 20. Okay, why did I do that? Well, now if I hit the B key, what it's doing is it's going to add one level of highlight. Okay, so the thing is, you can accomplish a lot with vector levels by just having a base area of color and then both a shadow vector palette entry and a highlight one. And now you can just build this out and add some texture to it. So for this, I will say, let's actually just use the rectangle. I don't want multi-arc, I just want a rectangle. By the way, I know I'm moving kind of away from the microphone here, guys. So if it becomes too hard to hear me, just let me know. I'll try to keep an eye on the comments. Oops. Okay, so I'm going to hit undo. I want that to be autofill. I don't want it to be draw under. So this is truth is the only reason I'm using a vector level for this is because of the autofill. Because you just can't do that on a smart raster level. You can't. In Krita, you would hit the G key, which is the filled polygon tool. And then you just draw a shape and it just fills it in for you. Ta-da, like that. Okay, so I'm not going to knock myself out trying to make this what am I trying to say? This is a rough construction, okay? It's not supposed to be all perfect or anything. Not at all. Okay, so what's going to happen here? It's more like stone, in other words, more than brick, I guess. Put it that way. So I'm actually going to even put a little... I'm just winging it here, guys. And I also reserve the right to change my mind, because I might decide I don't really like the way this is looking. And in a different life, what I probably would have done is hit the I like that better. But I don't know. I could kind of see doing a mix of both, come to think of it. I'm going to do that. I'm just going to come in here, add a couple little pebbles. Now, what's interesting about this technique is you can also go ahead and modify the density of that, you know, highlight or shadow. So the way I'm doing it here, it's unfolding as we go. So what I'm seeing is I'm actually feeling like what I want to do is just make it loose like this, just throw them in there, and then surround the bricks with rocks. So it's just a mix of all the above. No right answer. And you'll see here why I find this technique quite interesting. I don't want to do that. Is that you can stack up levels of the highlight or shadow, which means, in other words, if I now go like this, I can add another level of highlight. So that's like catching the sun or whatever. And again, when you make an adjustment on the density of it, you know, you can just dial it in or out. Okay, so then you could do the same thing with your darks. And I think I do want those a little denser, actually. Right? And so you can kind of just build it up. And if you add two levels, they just pile on top of each other. So you might put an overall shadow here, maybe like that. Right? And it just adds another 10%, you know, to the opacity. So since I just did that, I'm kind of feeling like it would want to be more like that. Now, the reason I did it in a subscene is now when I come back up out of this shot, as you can see, all of the different levels that are in the subscene are just baked together into a single level here. Quite useful. As you can see, I'm actually fixing up some rocks that didn't need to be fixed up. Well, that's an honest mistake. Let me see here. Okay. Yeah, it's really just from about here down that it really even matters. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do there, folks. That's interesting. Oh, I see what I did. Okay. Silly me. So I'm going to go ahead and catch some shadows on the bottoms of these bricks slash rocks. Like I said, I don't know that this is like the greatest background I've ever painted. That's for sure. But part of the challenge actually is taking something that is less than stellar and, you know, seeing if you can craft it into something good. In this case, I'm not sure I can, but I'm going to try. Maria with her cats. Yeah, we just have the one cat that doesn't come in the house. He just comes around because we feed it. He doesn't love us. I call him Kitty Kitty. Valerie and Kyle want to insist that the cat's name is Jasper. I'm not sure I buy it. I prefer the name Kitty Kitty. But that's me. Okay, this is actually going to be interesting to see if I can turn this into something kind of halfway decent. Look, the reason I'm doing it, you know, I'm kind of going to suffer through this and make you suffer through it too, is that if I'm doing an oil painting, you know, if I'm doing a portrait or something, this is what happens all the time. I mean, I never ever get anything right on the first try. That's the story of my life. If there's a story of my life, it is that I never get it right on the first try. So the more comfortable you are with knowing that you're going to have to work it. You're going to have to kind of craft this into something good through a certain amount of trial and error. That's not like the worst thing ever. Makes you a little more resilient or something, I guess. You like the growing texture on the wall? Good. That's the idea. It's supposed to look good. Well, we'll do something here in a little bit that you may find interesting. We shall see. Okay, I better save my work. And Maria, by the way, well, that's a good attitude, Sifter. That's the right attitude to take. So, okay, so that's fine. It's okay. Let's just say, here's another level. I'm going to make this level a plain old raster level. Okay? This is getting into what I was talking about, blending modes, and why using a subscene can be kind of helpful. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just grab the airbrush. Let's see. And let me think about this for a minute. It's kind of dumb to think I would have to think about it. Actually, you know what? Here's another thing I'll show you guys about subscenes. Look at this. Watch this. Okay? Now it's only 1 frame long. Delete all those and just extend this down. So you can have animation in a subscene or not. Or you can just have it all just sum up to one cell and you just stretch that cell out, which is what I'm going to do here. Just keeps everything a little cleaner. Okay, so what I was checking is if you're going to have a gradient, it seems to me that you'd be going from dark down here to lighter on the other side. And we might say, let's go ahead and you say, whoa, that looks obnoxious. Yep, it does. Oops. Okay, I got to stop everything. Sorry, guys. I made a critical, huge mistake a moment ago. It's pretty weird. I don't usually do this in Tahoma. But I do it all the time in Krita, which is that everything I just did, I was in the wrong level when I did it. I did all the painting into the wrong level. If you can even believe that. Yep, that's what I did. Okay, so now the reason I did that is I'm going to take the schematic and shrink it down to a more manageable level, or size, I should say. Okay, and let's go to the effects schematic, and what we want, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's what we want. Okay, so this is column 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make column 3 layer blending INO overlay. Okay? Now, a little bit of a caveat here. If you're going to do overlay, normally what you want to do is actually make the whole scene the background. So let's cut that. So the whole scene, all the columns, feeds into the output, and then the overlay is placed over top of the whole thing. Okay, so overlay mode gives you a nice kind of lighting effect, as you can see. Now I can turn it into preview mode and then go ahead and start to touch it up a bit. Now it's going to blinky blink, as you can see, as I'm doing it. But yeah, I mean, we'll just kind of go with that. Not great, Again, like I said, this is a pretty rough background painting, frankly. But let's just keep working with it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab my oil paintbrush. Yeah, it's kind of, let me check one thing on that shadow. Okay, so that's, yeah, I mean, gosh, baked in shadow. Okay, we don't want that going on. And I'm going to turn this overlay off for the moment because I don't really want it distracting me. B key. So what I was saying about oil painting is, you know, you measure wrong, you paint something in the wrong place, and then you have to, you know, you just have to work with it. You have to engage with the canvas. And with oil paint, it's kind of hard to erase. There's no undo, you know. What's your experience with for animatics? Well, I think that Opentoonz or Tahoma is going to be a really good tool for pre-production because you can rough in camera moves and you can put static images in the you know, you can put static images on a level that you're going to come back and animate later. So the thing I've always liked, actually probably one of the biggest selling points for Tahoma for me, is the fact that it's so procedural, right? You can, you know, as I say, rough in an animation with just a static image, but then go in and actually do all the drawing later, and you can always go back and reopen it and improve it. I mean, I do that all the time. It's actually literally what I'm doing right now. I'm taking a shot that I originally did, like, I'm going to say this shot was originally done a year ago. I mean, it's really old. There's a lot of things about it that are not, you know, necessarily as good as what I might do if I did the whole thing from scratch starting right now. Put it that way. But having said that, again, there's no great harm in working with it and just seeing what I can do with it. This is a good example. Do I really want this sharp edge on the ground in the background? I don't know. You know, I kind of lean towards not, but that's kind of like stylistically what I was kind of doing at the time, you know. So everything I'm doing right now, I'm doing with the sort of caveat that I may change my mind completely and decide I'm chasing off in the wrong direction. But I'm finding this right now in real time as I'm talking to you guys and doing this. I'm saying to myself, this is actually a really good exercise. What if I came into a company? You know, what if I was working for a company? I get a job with some animation company, right? Okay, so I'm being paid. Okay, this is your job, Dave. You don't have the option to go, well, no, I would have just kind of done the whole thing a different way, or I would throw the whole thing out and start over. There's a time to do that, no question about it. But you know, if your task is to say, well, no, we like this painting, let's make it work. What would you do? Oh, you know, there's some challenges there. there are some challenges. So I'm going to think about this from that vantage point. What would I do? This seems almost like it wants to be -3. I want the oil paintbrush, but I want it to be really, really fine. So I can get in there and paint some blades of grass and stuff. I'm actually starting to feel it a little bit, what I could do with this thing and maybe make it work. Like another thing I would do is probably, like, I'm wanting to feel some flaws in the stonework, you know. Here, I'm hitting the R key, by the way, to sample the colors. So like this edge, why was this edge be so sharp? You know? Now I'm having to sample the different background colors in order to introduce just a certain amount of roughness, you know, to the... So I'm sampling the sky so I can literally paint a little bit of the sky color against this and just kind of rough it up. Okay, I know what's wrong here. No wonder. I need to switch my... Yeah, there we go. I think I'll keep going with the pencil. Okay, this is getting more interesting. Okay. Okay, that's the gradient. I'm going to go ahead and kill the gradient. Just get rid of that. I don't like that. This is definitely kind of interesting. Interesting texture. Not like the greatest thing I've ever done, but... okay, so Sifter... Each shot is a scene of animatics in a project folder. Okay. Once I finish the animatics, I duplicate the entire project folder, and the levels turn into placeholders. I have to think about that. It calls to mind one of my mottos. Whoops. Okay, that was not supposed to happen. Which is that I'm smart, but I'm not quick. So I'm thinking about what you're saying. Each shot is a scene of animatics in a project folder. Okay, so you're losing me on step 1 because we are not... your terminology, what it means, what the word shot means to you and the word scene means to you is probably not what it means to me. Okay? So to be clear, this whole thing is one shot. Shots are then in sequence to create a scene. A scene would be generally a location or a little piece of the show that generally takes place in one place, although not always. Arguably, this is 2 scenes because he finishes sort of fighting with the monkey, and then Asher shows up, so you sort of have this change in the situation, but then obviously here when it changes location. So this is a scene. Each individual clip, from one point of view, is a shot. Okay, that's my terminology. So you say each shot is a scene of animatics, which so it sounds to me like your terminology... I'm not saying your terminology is wrong. I'm saying that I don't think what you mean is what I would mean. I think what you mean is each scene is a... Well, let me think about this. You've got kind of 3 levels. Right, right. Yeah, when I refer to a scene, I'm talking about a scene in the show. I'm not talking about an Opentoonz scene. Yeah, right. That's probably why the terminology... Right. Okay, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. Once I finish the animatics, I duplicate the entire project folder, and the levels turn into placeholders. Right. Right, right, right. Well, the point with Opentoonz is that you none of that's necessary. All the copying, the duplicating, all completely unnecessary. Because I mean, look at what I'm doing with subscenes here, right? If I have a level and it's just a static drawing, it's just, let's just say it's a stick figure. Okay? Well, I can add the final drawing as just another level and just turn this one off, and it's still there if I ever need to get back to it for some reason. So there's really no reason to do all the duplicating. And in fact, I actually strongly recommend you don't do it that way, and I'll tell you why, because I've been down this road before. I've done it, and it always bites you in the butt. And the reason it bites you in the butt is because what happens is, I don't know if you've done any programming, but it's just like code. If you have the same algorithm that's literally implemented in two different places, you are going to have a problem every single time. Because what happens is you wind up needing the original, and especially when it forks, which means that both of the two duplicated projects both get changed for some reason. Okay, you may not even be able to imagine right now how that could ever happen, because you're thinking of it in terms of, I'm working in a sequence where the sequence of operations always goes in one direction, forward. But if that's true and it always goes forward, then let's put it this way. In a perfect world, you would never do the duplicating thing, because you would never even want to. You'd say, oh, no, we'll just put more stuff in this scene. And remember, with Opentoonz, you can collapse your columns, right? So there's a couple things you could do. If all of these four levels were all basically the animatic stuff that I'm going to throw away ultimately, well, number one, you could do what I did with the background here. You could collapse them all down into a single subscene. So now the animatic is a subscene within your main scene. Or alternatively, as I said, I haven't done this in like years, so I can't remember how to do it, but you can collapse these columns so that they're only a sliver wide. But it seems to me the thing to do, hey, Inio-san, it seems to me the thing to do would be to just make it a subscene. And then it's still there, and then you just mute it. You just turn it off, so that if you need to get back to it, you can. And by the way, also another point about that is, you can always explode a subscene, which means I can take this subscene and just hit explode it, which means that all the constituent levels will be brought up to the top level. So in other words, what I'm saying is, in a normal workflow, the only reason you would not do it that way, where you keep everything procedural and, yeah, folding columns. You can fold the columns, you can make it a subscene. So my point is that Opentoonz and Tahoma are very, well, for one thing, they're forgiving of fairly large scenes. So you would have to get into a really complicated, Opentoonz scene that has, 30 or 40 levels, before you get to the point where you go, man, this is way too complicated, and you're getting a performance penalty. Okay? Now, what will give you a performance penalty is when your main scene gets too long. Okay, so now this is interesting. This gets into, I'm glad I actually talked that through, because it brings up, in what you're trying to do, I'll show you what the flaw is going to be. And you're going to be tempted to work in two directions, and then you're going to have to make a choice, is probably what's going to happen. Okay? Meaning this. If you do a pencil test in a single scene here, so now I'm going forward, and let's say it switches to another, not an Opentoonz scene, but a TV show scene. So it switches to a different point of view, Different background shot, different everything, let's say. Okay, so you're sitting here in your software and you're doing your animatics, okay? And I want to tell you, Sifter, this is literally what happened with the show I was working on before I started working on Salt and Light. So everything I'm telling you, I did. And it went a little bit sideways, okay? What I did was I started out my show by doing an animatic, which was just a single column pencil test where each frame was just basically a storyboard. Okay? So then what I did was I then extended the drawings so that each drawing in the storyboard, so that you literally had an edit of the show. So we're talking about a several minute long sequence where the one column that was a pencil test became the storyboard for the show. Okay? And then what I did was I started building out horizontally, where I started, I went from the single storyboard shot to an animatic, to a pencil test, to ink and paint. Okay? What I found was that it isn't the width that becomes the performance penalty, it's the height, it's the vertical. In other words, trying to pack multiple shots into a single Opentoonz scene became performance punitive. It became a problem. It began to bog down. I was starting to get, crashes, things like that. So I figured out a long time ago that if you're going to do an animatic to plan out a show or a fairly long sequence or whatever, ostensibly one frame at a time, like a storyboard at first, and then you start stretching them out in order to work out the timing. What I found was, for me, that turned out to be a bad idea. Don't do it that way. So if you're going to do one column, so I'm kind of with you on your plan in that you might start out with a storyboard that then expands into an animatic. If I was going to do that, once I got past, I almost want to show this. I'm just going to rough this in. Okay, so what I'm saying is, let me go ahead and give myself the old charcoal brush. So this is my show. So I got a show, and my show starts out with a close-up of a character, some dramatic close-up of a character. Okay, well, the next shot shows the other character. And by the way, Sifter, this is what you're good at. I can tell from what I already looked at that this is what you're good at, is you're good at sensing how to tell a story visually. Okay, and then let's say we have a really wide shot where we get some context and we realize that these two guys are facing each other and they're on a bridge. They're on a bridge. Okay? So there's a bridge. Okay? And then it's a tense moment. So now we get this really tight close-up of this guy, of his eyes, and we see that he's scared because the other guy, now we go to this dramatic shot where we're looking up. Okay, and this guy's holding a gun. And he's got it pointed at him, let's say. So the gun raises up. Okay? And so then we say, we hit the S key, we grab all this. Oh, come on, that's not what I wanted to do. So I'm almost done with the animatic, okay? So here's the animatic. And I just grab this and start drawing here so that I can erase it and then hit the S key and paste this in. But in the new version of it, he's holding the gun. Okay, so that's my animatic. Okay, so that would be my first step. My first step is I know the story that I'm trying to tell, and I've got this animatic. Okay? I'm going to clarify this drawing because it's not very clear that this is a close-up of a face. Okay? So now when I did this on this other show that I was working on, my next step was to basically kind of feel what I felt the timing of these shots would be. Okay? So let's just ballpark it. I'm just going to just completely make this up. I have no idea. Okay, so we wind up at 136 frames. Okay, so and the reason I did that is so I could feel how it was going to go storytelling-wise. What are you doing here? Well, what are you doing here? Tense moment, music. What? Wait, what are you doing? I've had it with you. You're doomed. Okay, so there's your story. Okay? So then what I did was I said, okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to actually turn this into a pencil test. So we might turn the opacity of this down a little bit. And for this shot, we're going to have the, let's go back to our pencil. So we got this shot of the guy. And in this shot, maybe he's going to just kind of jerk his head up like this. And that holds. And this is completely stupid, by the way. I know that, but I'm just trying to. So what happens is, so now I've got some motion here, right? So I'm taking my animatic and I'm breaking it down into a pencil test. Okay? So let's pretend these are actually finished drawings where this animation is actually not completely stupid. Okay? So then I do ink and paint, and on and on and on it goes. Well, what happens is, now you find each of these shots needs a different background, and I can't tell you when it happens, but there's a point you cross where the whole thing starts to get cumbersome. You start finding that the amount of time that you're spending working on your project, you're spending more time just navigating the scene, like jumping from here down to here and resetting the start marker and the stop marker, and you find all your time starting to go into just navigating the software instead of creating the show. I assume you're still here, Sifter. I hope you are. Okay? So what did I learn? What I learned was, do your animatic, and if you want it to get really long, if it's 500-600 frames long, whatever, do it. But then, for each individual shot, let it be its own Opentoonz scene. That's what I learned. And believe me, buddy, I learned the hard way. Is once, in other words, either go wide. In other words, like every scene I do on my show has maybe at least 5 and sometimes maybe up to 10 columns. Okay, so I'm going wide, horizontal. This is what I've learned with Opentoonz. Either go wide or go tall, go long. So you can have a real long animatic or even pencil test that's hundreds and hundreds of frames long. You can do that. Or you can go wide where you have all kinds of levels for color, for backgrounds, for blah, blah, blah. My advice is don't do both. Don't even try to do both. It would be great if you could, but you will find that there's an arbitrary line you cross, and I don't know where it is. It seems to me that once you get past trying to bake even just a very few, like 3 to 5 scenes, or I'm sorry, 3 to 5 shots in a single Opentoonz scene, once you get past 3 to 5, it just becomes cumbersome where, like I said, all of your time winds up being spent doing this. You wind up spending, in fact, what you'll do is, if you've got 2 screens, like I've got 3 on this machine, what you'll find is you'll set up a separate X sheet on another screen because so much of your time is just spent navigating the X sheet. That's what happens. So my advice is, if it was me and I was starting fresh with a new project, I would do a really long animatic storyboard, build that out into an animatic probably. But no, actually strike that. I probably wouldn't. What I would probably do is just do a really long storyboard, and then I'd work out the timing. And then what I would do is I would just I would build, and actually this is what I did with the project I was working on before Salt and Light. In order to salvage the problem that I got myself into, what you do is you now go wide to finish this scene, or this shot, I should say. And then, believe it or not, what you do is you go through and you delete. You go Control X and you delete everything other than the shot you just did, because you already saved that one and probably rendered it. And now what you're doing is you want to go ahead and start building out horizontally with shot number 2. That's what I found worked. And the way I've been doing Salt and Light, the whole show's been done that way. And it's worked. You know, it's never become, the actual production process has never become cumbersome on this show, because I learned the hard way on the show I was working on before that. So that's my advice. And I think for most people this would probably be good advice, is go vertical when you're starting out and you're planning out your show and you're figuring out your framing and your layout of your shots and your timing. But then once you're ready to go wide and can paint, specific timing, plastic tool, backgrounds, once you're ready to go wide with multiple levels, go ahead and let each shot be in its own Opentoonz scene. That is my strong recommendation from having done it every other way but sideways, trying to make a more, everything's in a single scene, right? You want your whole show to be inside one scene. It'd be nice if you could do it. I mean, and by the way, I tried it. I not only tried it vertically and horizontally at the same time, where all my time was going into just navigating the X sheet, but I also tried salvaging it by packing all of the scenes into subscenes, right? And sort of cleaning up the X sheet that way. It didn't work. It winds up becoming both a performance and navigation nightmare. So, yeah, seriously learned that the hard way. I really, really did. So, anyway, Sifter, it's probably time for you to get off to bed. So I have short tunes. I've shot 1 tunes and then I render them as shot 1 MP4, shot MP4, and compile the animatics edit video. Yeah, and that's pretty much what I do. I mean, if you look what I have here, I mean, basically I just render and bring it into my video edit. And I think, frankly, most people work that way. Once you get past something that's... See you later, San, by the way. Once you get past a project that is not trivial, that's not like less than a minute long, you really have to just get used to being able to break it up into little pieces, or the whole process just becomes really cumbersome. So, I'm actually going to see if my render settings here are correct. I think they are. I'm going to go ahead and render this and see what it looks like in the show, because I really haven't completed it. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to go Control-Shift-R. But I'm going to go ahead and render this out and just jump over here and see what I've got. Because frankly, I'm kind of getting tired and ready to quit. So, where is this shot? Oh my gosh. Yep, I'm stopping there. I will tell you the truth. This is a shot where the whole shot's going to wind up getting redone. I can tell. I mean, it's not where it needs to be. It's just not. This was, I don't know when I did this. Man, I did this a long time ago. And the only reason I revisited it today specifically is because Monkey was just a pencil drawing. When I'm like, oh, geez, I guess I need to ink Monkey. But the more I look at it, I'm going, I don't even know why I'm trying to save this. if I redid this shot today, it would be so much stupidly better that I definitely want to redo it. So with that, I am gonna, I think, call it a night. And thanks, Inio-san, for the best wishes. So guys, I don't know how helpful it's been tonight. Just to recap, I am on Discord now, Discord Blended Planet. I am going to be releasing the first 4 minutes of Salt and Light as a webisode. I've got the score and the voices and everything's on there. It's basically ready to, pretty close to being ready to render and just post. And then at that point, all the links to my, it'll include links to a Patreon, probably the Discord. So I'm definitely getting better organized. I wanted to kind of announce that tonight because going into 2022, that's, I will be, being on Discord more, and I am, will be doing the Patreon and GoFundMe thing to support the ongoing production of Salt and Light. And I don't know what's up with that shadow under his mouth. But yeah, I want to re-pencil test this shot and everything. So, kind of a little bit of wasted effort here, frankly. But it's been fun. And I hope maybe the whole thing about sub-X sheets and blending modes and things like that might have proven to be a bit useful to someone. So, if there are no questions pressing anyone, I think I am going to go ahead and call it a night. And so if nobody throws something important into the chat, I think I'm going to sign off in just a few minutes. Yep, and again, I mean, I won't be on tomorrow, Christmas Eve. So I expect we'll probably be seeing you guys at the first of next week. And maybe by then I'll have everything ready to launch, as far as the Discord and Patreon and all that good stuff. So anyway, yeah, okay, so with that, good night. And as you guys know, there will be more later. Boom.